I'm Jeff Ratcliffe for the Pro Football Focus Fantasy Slant. Two of the AFC's powerhouses got a little bit stronger in the NFL free agency period, with both the Broncos and Patriots making key signings on the defensive side of the ball in the first 2 days of free agency. Now, the Broncos bolstered their defensive line, signing Cowboys cast-off DeMarcus Ware, and they beefed up their secondary, adding Aqib Talib and TJ Ward. Now, the Patriots made perhaps an even bigger splash, landing Darrelle Revis, who was recently let go from the Buccaneers after a failed attempt to trade him. Now, what does this mean for both of these teams? Well, in the Broncos Super Bowl run, one of their biggest deficiencies was in that defense. The secondary was suspect. They had suspect safety play, and their corners weren't always up to snuff. Of course, they had Champ Bailey, but now, of course, he was coming to the end of his career, and Talib is a viable replacement for what they had in Bailey. Now, Ward is a huge step up from what they currently had on the roster at safety, so that's a huge upgrade for that secondary. But think about this. We have DeMarcus Ware, one of the league's all-time best pass rushers, lining up opposite Von Miller. That blows my mind to even think about it, and I wouldn't want to be a quarterback playing against the Broncos this next season. Now, the Patriots lost Talib, and ordinarily, I think you would have a hard time replacing a guy like Talib, but they went ahead and they did it, and they replaced him in grand fashion with Revis. Darrelle Revis is arguably the greatest cornerback in league history. Aside from a guy named Dion, he's right up there. And Revis is 28. He's coming off, 2012 an ACL injury, but he was fantastic last year. If you really look closely to how he played for the Bucs, he did everything and then some. So Revis, an obvious upgrade, even at that $12 million a year price tag, they got a bargain here with Revis. But what does this all mean for fantasy purposes? Well, with DeMarcus Ware, we have to pay close attention to his designation. If he's designated as an outside linebacker, as we saw in the past, his fantasy value does take a hit in IDP leagues. But if he gets the defensive lineman designation, he's right below the elite level players. So he's a DL1 in IDP fantasy leagues, especially playing opposite Von Miller. TJ Ward was fantastic last year. He was a DB1 by the end of the season, and I wouldn't expect him to take too much of a dip in Denver. So we're going to slot him exactly where he was before. Talib, you're not necessarily going to want to roster unless you're playing in a league where you have cornerbacks as a required position. Now, Revis is tough because Revis sort of, he can have fantasy value at times, but he's not going to put up a lot of tackles because he doesn't see a lot of targets. With Revis on the field, less is more. The less targets he sees, the better off it is for the rest of his team. And really what this is going to do is this going to open up a little bit more time for the pass rush. So we could see an uptick in Chandler Jones' sack production. We could also see an uptick in Rob Ninkovich's sack production, whereas Revis may have possibly situational fantasy value, but for the most part, you're probably going to want to avoid Darrelle Revis in IDP fantasy football leagues. For Pro Football Focus, I'm Jeff Ratcliffe.